sorry?
You don't have to go take credit?
I don't think so.
What's that?
He's asking if you could take credit.
No, we're not set for anything, just cash only, man. Sorry. Oh, hey! I figured you'd find me and follow the smell.
Alright guys, I'm here with North Idaho Exposed. We're in Boise, Idaho at a rally. How you doing, Becky? Thank you for showing up. Let's open America. That's a beautiful day here. We're blessed with good weather.
We're all struggling in one way or another, but we're gonna get through this. Today is a great day to celebrate. A lot of businesses.
So I started a live stream a little early because I'm having a hard time getting on YouTube. Thank you, Becky. And over here is Ammon.
Yeah, we'll have you up in a minute.
The problem that I have is
you're not going to hold your pants.
I will.
because of what routes they can take. It's very legal. It's legal now, but it's not.
The interconnectedness of all the different organizations.
Okay, tell me when you're ready.
You're good to go.
Oh, hi everybody, it's Pam Gibbio. I'm here with Evan Bundy. He's going to share with you
I
why
saw a
we're
little bit
here.
online, like I saw that they ran some of it on.
Well, we're here. Some mysterious
Simply
Yeah.
to make a statement. Really to express an issue. What we're here is just to celebrate that Idaho is open for business, and that's what we need to do. That's what we have a right to do. We certainly do not need permission from a man or a woman, no matter what they call themselves, to trade with each other, to do business with each other. And we certainly don't accept any conditions, his conditions, of if we do this, if we do this,
good to chat.
he will allow us to do that. Those conditions are unacceptable here in the free country with the free people. So I guess celebrating that is what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
With this
Thanks, Ammon.
yeah, you're gonna have to hunt him down. He's over there.
I think. That's him right there, isn't it? The suit? He's getting ready to speak. Is that him? I'm not sure.
He's so busy.
Yeah.
Should have got him.
Well, we can talk to him afterwards.
Yeah, we'll do it after. Oh, I got all my stuff over there.
Oh, no worries.
Well, join us, Becky. Come on. Are you gonna introduce me to him?
Oh wait, right. He's just.
Oh, okay. Well, you're in the wrong place, Becky. Come to the northwest. I'm just gonna leave the live stream going, guys, because it's so hard to get back on, and they're gonna be doing some speeches here and stuff. Yeah, our tax dollars billed. I agree. I wish two of them, Becky. Come on. Maybe we need to come to Florida and start some stuff. Well, I'm heading out of here tonight and heading back to Seattle later on tonight. So I'm enjoying the weather now. It's a whole lot better than Seattle. It's all right, Becky. We'll set something up. Maybe I come down there and we'll start some chaos down there in Florida. Get a bunch of people together. Yeah, I know Florida needs it. Florida's pretty bad from what I've seen. Yeah, it is explosive. The wrong thing is that it's catching on too much, too. It's got to catch on the other way. Yeah, thank you, Becky. Smash the like button, guys. Smash it! So... got a drone up there. I don't know whose that is. Last night, me and North Idaho Exposed went to a park and had dinner, and they had caution tape up all over the playground. We ripped it all down. Go ahead and check out his video on North Idaho Exposed. It was a great video. Felt great doing it. Yeah, it's a drone, Becky. I don't know whose it is. I'm gonna set this right here. You think it'll be okay?
Let's kind of hide it. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. You know, I'm not really worried about people talking.
Sorry, guys. Hold on a sec.
Are you still live?
Yeah, I'm not. It's too hard to get on, so I'm just gonna leave it on.
Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you.
I do a little bit for
And I like the t-shirt. Oh, thank you. You can buy it 6 bar, 25 bucks.
I'll be out.
Yeah.
That's on my to-do list here pretty damn quick.
Good. We were there last night. It was great.
Might be.
Good.
I don't know.
Happy
Awesome. I'll be out here.
All right.
All right.
So people
Hello,
showing up.
everyone, and welcome to the Idaho is Open for Business rally.
Thank you, Becky.
My name is Adonijah Mayer. I'm the executive director of the Freedom Man Political Action Committee, who organized today's rally. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all of you for coming at this critical moment in our nation's history. Before we begin,
Can everybody hear
I'd like
okay?
to open up in a word of prayer. If you could all bow your heads with me, please. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this opportunity to be here today with our brothers and sisters who are gathered in your name, seeking your guidance and praying for your help. We ask you to be merciful to us, to help us to know and do your will, and to find peaceful and effective resolutions to the problems before us. We know that we could do nothing without you, but with you, we can do all things, Lord. And we ask you to guide our path, and most of all, we pray that your will be done and your name be glorified. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Now, before we move on, I ask you to join with Miss Abigail Rose Amburn as she leads us in the singing of our national anthem.
I'll make you on, Becky.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. High we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, and the rockets tremble, the bombs bursting in.
Thank you so much, Abigail, for that beautiful rendition of the Star Spangled Banner.
Just tuck it under.
All right, our organization, the Freedom Man PAC, has one basic goal and principle: to secure, maintain, and promote freedom and individual liberty to everyone. That's right. This is what we're doing here today. Working to ensure our freedoms are maintained and secure here in Idaho. To explain what we are doing today and how you, just by being here, are participating in a historic moment in our history, I'd like to welcome to the podium our Communications Director at the Freedom Man PAC, Diego Rodriguez.
Well, thank you again, everybody, for coming. We are so happy to see everybody here today. I would imagine, however, that even though that you are here and happy to be here, most of you, like us, wish we did not have to be here.
Are you serious?
We're here doing our duty, recognizing that we have to be here if we want to preserve our freedoms and our liberties. We're here as always seeking peaceful resolution.
You a 2X? We all are.
So, I'll speak up and you guys can gather a little bit closer. Yeah, I've never been accused
Whatever it is. That is
I can use this. Unplug, but they're checking that right now. Just check all the plugs, guys. Plug it. Unplug it. Plug it back in.
because that's not
Plug it back. Oh, they're checking that.
We're nurturing. We touch, we hug, we talk, we
Check the power shift there, guys.
we can strengthen.
Unplug it. Plug it back in.
Of our fellow man. So if you have someone on the street, that person's
Power the systems on. We don't have power to those systems. Just check that. Just unplug it, plug it in, back in, boys. And while they're getting that set up, I just wanted to say again, the actual power there, Levi. And the red light is on the power strip.
I'm so proud of you.
Well, whatever. I want to check the little switch on the little breaker switch on the power strip. That might be it. And then if you guys over there have a backup generator, you can see if you can get that fired up. That would be fantastic as well. Yeah, that's exactly what needs power. While they're working on that, I'll just say this. We obviously don't want to be here today, but we are here because we have, our rights have been violated and our rights have been trampled on. So we are here today to fight back. And I've often asked Diego, why do you bother doing this? Why do you involve yourself in these type of events? Well, let me tell you a very quick little story before we read the resolution. Back many, many, many years ago when I was 19 years old, I had an experience that really shaped my perspective about how we need to fight back as citizens. What happened was I was living in Central California. I was driving about an hour and a half from my hometown on Highway 152 to a little town called Los Banos. When I pulled into this town,
I'm sure not. I'm a
I
guy.
came to the stoplight, the major stoplight there up the highway, and I was pulled over at that moment by California Highway Patrol, CHP. And when he pulled me over, I hadn't been speeding. I was stopped at the stoplight. I did not know why I was pulled over. And I was working with a fellow at the time, a Hispanic fellow who was sitting shotgun with me in the car. And when the police officer came to the door and rolled down the window, and he immediately began to berate us and belittle us, and he began to use the F-bomb. And he began to F-bomb left and right. He said, you effing this, you effing that. What's the effing matter with you? I can't believe you're such an effing idiot. He said, I would have caught up to you a lot sooner if these stupid wetbacks and beaters hadn't gotten in my way and stopped me from catching you.
Who said that?
Oh! It's a true story. It happened to me. I didn't read this off the internet somewhere.
Whoa.
And so as a 19-year-old boy, I was obviously shaken and concerned. And so I was concerned. At 19 years old, I had no idea what to do, what to say. when I got this ticket in the mail, that was back before the internet. The ticket came in the mail. Hey, I heard it. Thank you.
Now we're talking. But I'm going to keep this up here, bro. This here. For them.
Sure. Thank you. Black freedom's
Back on
okay.
again. Now Houston. So, I went to the courthouse. When I went to the courthouse, to make a very long story short, the judge asked the police officer what happened. He told us a long story that absolutely was inaccurate.
Hi, guys.
We've got that. So, as soon as that happened, the judge turned to me and said, Mr. Rodriguez, what do you have to say for yourself? Said I don't agree with anything that he just said. It's not the true story.
Thank you.
That's not why I'm here today.
Thank you, Becky.
I'm here because when Officer so-and-so pulled us over, he continually used the F-bomb. He F-bombed us multiple times. He used racially derogatory slurs when addressing myself and my partner who was of Hispanic descent. And I do not appreciate being treated that way by a member of law enforcement.
We're good now? All right, leave it there. We'll try it. We'll see how this works. As soon as I said that, she turned and barked back at me and said, Mr. Rodriguez, Officer so-and-so has been serving our community for over 40 years. And I've never heard of anything like what you're telling me happened. As soon as she said that, I knew, that's it. There's no justice for me. I'm done. So, and the most remarkable thing happened at that very moment. If it had not happened to me, I wouldn't even believe the story if somebody told me. What happened was this. The officer opened his mouth and admitted. He opened his mouth and he said, I'll never forget his words, verbatim. He said, well, Your Honor, actually, I do that sometimes.
As soon as he said that, she turned to him in shock. Her mouth dropped. The court reporter's mouth dropped. She stopped typing. Turned to me, said,
There are resistance.
back to the officer, said, "You have to stop doing that." And he said, I know, I need to get better about not doing that. And then, the judge turned to me and said, seeing as you have no previous history,
I am going to go ahead and dismiss this case. He left and I left. And I left that place, 19-year-old boy, shaking and trembling, being fearful that there was, had he not admitted that, there would have been no justice for me. And when I sat in my car, I realized something. That man
had been abusing that community for over 40 years, and nobody had ever stepped up to say anything to stop it. I'm not here speaking negative against police officers. I do not blame all police officers for what that one man did that one day. In fact, I've had plenty of excellent experiences with other members of law enforcement. That one man was a bad actor. And people in positions of authority often abuse that authority. And if you and I do not fight back, not only is there no justice for you and I, but we enable them to continue their abuse and tyranny to hundreds, if not thousands of others in the future.
All right, let's try this one more time. And we'll just leave it there. So, we gather here today resisting the tyranny that we have faced here in the state of Idaho. We have something very special that we are going to do today. Marissa, if you could bring me up the official state resolution that I want to read to everybody here today. I do not have to rehearse for anybody here today what has been going on in the state of Idaho. I do not have to rehearse for you
what exactly the unconstitutional stay-home order has been, nor what it has done. However, we have decided, as the people of Idaho, that we, the people, will take our freedoms and liberties back into our own hands. I have here in front of me the Idaho is open for business official state resolution. I am going to read it to you. When I am done reading, each and every one of you will have the opportunity to come and sign it yourself, much like the signers of the Declaration of Independence, who would no longer face and subject themselves to the tyranny of King George, said, "Enough is enough. I'm signing my name to the document. I'm a part of history. We will be free." So let me read the resolution to you. It states, whereas the state of Idaho is a great and beautiful state that is part of the United States of America and subject to the Constitution of the United States. And whereas every business, every job, and every worker in the state of Idaho is essential. Essential, necessary, valuable, and honorable. And whereas the 14th Amendment of the Constitution declares, "Nor shall any state," and I quote, "deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law, ensuring that all persons and business entities must be treated equally under the law and may not be classified as, quote, essential or non-essential." Listen to this next one. Whereas Idahoans have proved themselves for over a century to be self-reliant, independent, creative, and responsible, and are fully capable of protecting themselves, their self-interest, and the well-being of their fellow Idahoans. And
You're a moderator,
whereas
Becky.
the governor of the state of Idaho unlawfully issued an unconstitutional order forcing businesses to close and unlawfully classifying some workers and businesses either essential or non-essential in defiance of the Constitution, which is the highest law of the land.
That's right, QA.
Close attention. Therefore, be it resolved that from this day forward, May 2nd, 2020, the state of Idaho is officially open for business.
Hallelujah! Yeah!
And we are not subject to any unlawful order which abridges the Constitution of the United States. Idaho is open for business. Churches are open. Businesses are open. We are free. Turn to your neighbor and look him in the eye and tell him, we are free. Idaho. Who wants to sign that resolution? We have this resolution right here in front of us, in front of the Liberty Bell. As we continue with the rest of this rally, please feel free to line up, take a pen. There's plenty of pages for everybody to sign. Today is your only opportunity to be a part of this historic moment in history and to sign the resolution. This resolution will be digitally scanned. It will be published online so everybody in history can see who it was who took part of this historic moment in history. But now, as you guys are signing the order, we would like to take a few moments to hand out what we call the Defender of Freedom Awards. So, what are the Defender of Freedom Awards? There are many organizations here in the state of Idaho who have been behind the scenes fighting for your rights and preserving your freedom.
Alex and Robert are here.
We can have the ladies from Health Freedom Idaho wherever you're at. There is no greater form of totalitarian government than when a government has power over your own body. And it would seem obvious that your body is yours and you get to
All right, QA. You saw the video last night, huh? You like that?
Government doesn't recognize that which is obvious. And they often want to force you to put vaccines in your body or force you against your will so that they have control over your body. Well, thank God that we have Health Freedom Idaho. Health Freedom Idaho is a coalition of Idaho residents, practitioners, and professionals that inform, educate, and advocate for the natural, inalienable rights, God-given rights of all people. They advocate for each person's right to choose how to get well and to stay well. They are committed to promoting and preserving for the people of Idaho the right to access the healing and healthcare treatments, information, and services of their choice, which they determine necessary for their own health and happiness. They are also very active in the legislative session and beyond. Health Freedom Idaho spends hundreds of volunteer hours researching Idaho code, administrative rules, and legislative action for each session. They research and educate on many bills each year that have the potential to affect the health freedom of Idahoans. By way of example, after 3 years of diligent work, Health Freedom Idaho forced the Health and Welfare Department to acknowledge parental rights and change the rules, making it clear that parents can decline vaccines for school and daycare. If you love your right to make decisions about vaccines for your children, you have Health Freedom Idaho to thank. They feel called to defend liberty in every way possible and to empower citizens in taking responsibility in maintaining our government. They are guided by legitimate, evidence-based medicine, a commitment to and passion for our natural God-given rights, and the Constitution of both Idaho and the United States. Health Freedom Idaho has been fighting this battle for you for years, and we are honored to present them today with the very first Defender of Freedom Award. Ladies, come on.
Nope. I think they dropped them. Just been blowing around. You got one now.
Thank you so much, Diego. This is really an honor. I have to tell you that my lovely partner in Health Freedom, Sarah here, she has to hold the microphone for me because I have an autoimmune disease, and you'll find it on vaccine inserts as a possible reaction to vaccines. So I shake so bad, she holds the microphone for me. I have a question for you all. We gathered right here at the Capitol on these steps 15 days ago. Who all was here? Raise your hand. Raise Were you here 15 days ago? Now, if you do not have COVID-19, put your hand down. Are there any hands left? This just blew up the narrative.
Yep.
This just blew up the narrative that is on fake news. And I'm going to ask all the fake news reporters here, are you going to report this correctly?
As Diego said, we just wanted to remind everybody, Health Freedom Idaho stands for the right. Sorry. Your choice for what you do and do not put in your body and your children's bodies. Health Freedom Idaho stands for, and we have it on our name tag, it says your life, your health, your way. You have the right to assemble here today, and you have the right to worship. You have the right to run your business and provide for your family. You do not have to wear a mask, you do not have to take a vaccine, and you do not have to do anything you don't want to do, because you are free!
So I have a call to action for you today. Stop participating in tyranny. Live free. We are created free. The Constitution of the United States supports our freedom. We are free, so live free. Take an active role every single day in protecting your liberty, because as we can see, it's being attacked every single day.
Yeah, we really don't have crime.
So I want to introduce to you Leslie Manukian. She's on the board of Health Freedom Idaho. And I had to bring in our best speaker, who can say things so clearly, so understandably, and inspire you with even kind of the worst news ever. So, Leslie Manukian, my dear friend and partner in Health Freedom.
Very, very rebellious, getting a clean shaven, clean cut.
Before I start, I just want to say,
Edward
I'm
Dinninger's
on the
post
board
about
with these
the
little
new
ladies
counterculture is
who
people
are
that
at
have
the Capitol every
I don't know, QA.
haircuts.
We're talking days, every single day, for hours. They work into the night. They all have 3 or 4 children. They work their butts off so that we can be free. They push back against tyranny every single day. Please join me in giving them a huge round of applause. As I begin my remarks, I just want you to know, if you're here and you feel at risk, maybe you're one of those wearing a mask, it's okay. We stand with you. It is your right to protect yourself. It is your right, in fact, it's your duty to secure yourself, to do whatever you think is necessary to ensure your own health and well-being. And we stand in support of you, not against you. If you or a loved one has been sick, we wish you a speedy recovery. We do. We hope that you will open your hearts and minds to the idea that we all are sovereign and all are here to take care of ourselves. If our founding fathers were here today, they wouldn't recognize the country that we live in. They would not recognize what has been done to the people by the government intended to serve the people. Never before have the healthy been quarantined. Never. Our entire way of life has been altered and impacted in service to the few. That doesn't mean we don't care about the few. It just means
Thank you, Becky.
that
Everyone's rights need to matter. That's what matters. But the truth is that we've all allowed this to happen. We have, folks. It's been going on for years. It didn't just happen in the last 3 months. After the tragic events of 9/11, we were afraid.
The thing kind of said there was going to be.
People across this nation were terrified, and they allowed government to usurp our rights in a way unseen ever before. We traded our liberty for a little justice. I'm sorry, for a little security. And you know what? It was illusory security. It wasn't real security. Ever since then, we have been sliding down the slippery slope.
Yeah, I think so. QA.
And I don't use that word lightly, but when the government tells us who's important and who's not, who's essential and who's not, when officials like Brad Little are on television telling us that we have to be vaccinated in order to participate in society, this is authoritarian. In our state of shock and fear, we allow the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act strips each and every one of us of our rights. Do you know that the government says it has the right to enter your business, your home, search without a warrant, without your consent or your knowledge? This is what the Patriot Act allows.
I'm gonna try QA.
We allowed the National Defense Authorization Act as well. Every year there's a new one. The NDAA of 2012 allows the indefinite military detention of civilians. You can be detained by the military with the writ of habeas corpus suspended. That means that you are not entitled to due process. They can hold you indefinitely without access to a judge or your lawyer. That's what this happened. That's 2012. When Edward Snowden
I know. You're like out showing me. I'm in school, but I was wearing shorts like right here. Like they were appropriate, but they were like shorts. I don't want to like look too.
We were too
and I was like, I'll just wear these ones longer. And I'm like, oh, thanks. Stories wearing shorter shorts. I know.
But please don't blame one person. While much of this legislation was passed under George Bush, it's been perpetuated by President Obama and President Trump.
Talking about the orange one?
Allowed this to happen, but today we say no more.
Like Jersey?
Today we send a message to Governor Little that we don't want his dictated security. We reject his monarch-like edicts. We don't accept his determination of essential and non-essential businesses and individuals. We remind him that two wrongs do not make a right. It is never moral or ethical to harm one person in order to protect another. We don't care that Bill and his predecessors and our so-called representatives have enacted rules and regulations that contravene our state's constitution and the Constitution of this great nation. We remind all elected officials of the oaths they swore to uphold the Constitution of Idaho and the United States and protect our rights, not take our rights. We remind Governor Little all men are by nature free and equal and have certain inalienable rights, among which are enjoying and defending life and liberty, acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, pursuing happiness, and securing safety. You see, it says it right there in the Idaho Constitution. It is our right to secure our safety, not the government's. When we talk about sovereignty, folks, I want you to understand how important and how radical an idea that is. We are the only nation on earth that understands the importance of that. And the reason for that is that we're the only nation on earth that understands that our rights come from God. The implications of that idea are immense. It means no one can take them away because no one else possesses them like each and every one of us. So let me remind you that with liberty comes responsibility.
But
I ask you all to
like a
embrace
basketball
these
team does on the way out with the opposing, like, no, a high five like a basketball team.
to keep ourselves healthy and to provide for ourselves and our families. It is our responsibility to help those in need. It is our duty as free individuals to educate ourselves about our Constitution, our rights, and our history. We must uphold these responsibilities and use it to work to understand and protect them. Folks, as we consider the pathway forward, let's remember that they are the few and we are the many. Our numbers are growing. Our numbers are growing, and more people are challenging this authoritarianism. More and more people are challenging the narrative put out by the mainstream media. More and more people are waking up. And you know what? They're beginning to ask questions and dig deeper. I've had so many people call me in the last month asking me what the heck is going on. Because they don't believe what they're being said. I take so much heart in that, and I hope you do too. Today with our ranks growing. So today with our ranks growing, we stop complying. We honor the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "An unjust law is no law at all." In fact, it is our duty as free citizens to ignore unjust laws. We ignore the out-of-control executive branch here in Idaho because that is our duty as free people. We simply do not recognize those unjust rules and regulations. So let's be really clear. No, Governor Little, you will not mandate vaccines for us. You will not force any medical product on the people. You will especially not force medical products on us for which you and the manufacturers bear zero liability, as with all vaccines in the United States. We will not be tracked, traced, and microchipped like animals. I don't know if you folks have ever seen, but there are videos about what's going on in China with respect to the social credit system. That is what 5G enables. It allows them to track you crossing the street, and if you jaywalk like I just did a minute ago, your face will be flashed up on screens within a few blocks of where you are, and your credit score will go down, which will prevent you from being able to purchase a high-speed train ticket or a plane ticket. This is the purpose of 5G. The Internet of Things you probably have all heard of. This is to wire every single appliance in your homes to the internet so they can track everything you do. And they need 5G in order to do that. That is why it's happening. But let's get back to Governor Little. No, Governor Little, you do not own our bodies. You do not own our minds, and you most certainly do not own our souls. You will not dictate how we live. We stand together to say no more. The overreach stops here. We will decide. We will decide which risks we take. We will decide when to open and close our businesses, when to see our friends and loved ones, when and where to worship. We will decide how we educate our children and how we nourish our bodies and maintain our health. So, Governor Little, today we remind you that we, the people, are in charge. Today we declare that all of Idaho is open for business. Today, we choose to live free. Thank you. Guys, I just want to let you know we're over there at the table, Health Freedom Idaho table, and we have some Hemp Freedom Idaho shirts and some Plants Over Pills shirts. So come see us over there.
Let's give a big round of applause for Health Freedom Idaho, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on. Everybody knows that. Not only in Idaho open for business, we're conducting business right now. We have got tri-tip sandwiches in Idaho. We're here to selling cookies, to selling bottled water if you get thirsty. Different types of stuff.
They pushed everything.
Now we are back in action, baby. So it looks like we had the solution to our problem. You guys should be able to hear me nice and clear now. So what I said before is we are open for business in Idaho, even right now, this very moment. They're selling tri-tip sandwiches, bottled water, cookies, shirts, t-shirts. Make sure that you guys patronize these folks here on the other side of the street and let them know you are happy that they are open for business. So, yeah, just a few more quick awards we need to get through. Wayne, if you could come on up to the platform here. The Idaho Freedom Foundation is Idaho's premier public policy organization that advocates for freedom, liberty, smaller government, and constitutional rights. Their list of accomplishments is literally too numerous to describe here today. But they've been at the forefront of stopping our taxes from being raised, preventing socialism from overtaking our society, minimizing government growth, holding legislators accountable for their votes, and preserving constitutional rights in the state of Idaho. By way of example, they are known for putting terror into the hearts of all legislators by publishing the Idaho Freedom Index, which gives every legislator a letter grade from A to F based on their voting record in each legislative session. And legislators hate having their voting record graded and published, but the IFF does it every single year without fail. It would not be an exaggeration to say that the Idaho Freedom Foundation has been the most effective organization in affecting pro-freedom legislation in the Idaho State Legislature. Without them, Idaho would look more like a West Coast liberal Democrat state than the red-blooded conservative Idaho that we know and love. So, it is our distinct honor to present Wayne Hoffman, the founder of the Idaho Freedom Foundation, with this Defender of a Freedom Award today.
Diego, you're a patriot. And so are all of you for being here today. Thank you so much. You know, I got to tell you, when we started the Freedom Foundation at the end of 2008, people said, why do you need a conservative think tank in Idaho? We have all these Republicans elected. What can you possibly have to offer? Needless to say, a lot. And a lot has changed over the last 11 or 12 years, but there's still so much more to do, as evidenced by what's been happening over the last month and a half. And you guys are the solution to the problem. So let me tell you something. I look at this crowd and I see an army. I see an army of people who are going to leave this event. They're not going to just go back to their homes and back to whatever it was they were doing before. They're going to go and do everything they can to get Idaho's economy open, not just for the select few, but for everybody who wants to be working. Every business that wants to be in business. They can all start again because of you. So listen, I got to tell you something else. Every single business that opens up, that doesn't wait for the government to tell them when and how to do it, that is a strike against statism. That is a strike against socialism, and it's a strike against tyranny. There's a lot that still has to happen, but the battle starts here and now with people exactly like you. So, let me tell you, we have a lot of people that are yelling at us lately. I read Facebook, I read Reddit, I read Twitter. There are a lot of people that don't like the Freedom Foundation. They don't even like the fact that you're here. So I need you to send a message to them. Not just by going to the businesses, but also by supporting the organizations that believe in liberty. Health Freedom Idaho, Idaho Freedom Foundation, Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, all the different groups that are fighting for your freedom. If you're not already a member, if you're not already participating, now's the time.
I'll have to go talk to someone.
Now's the time to take back our liberty by participating, so that it's not just an emergency that brings us together, so that we can fight for lower taxes and less regulation every day, not just during a situation like this. That's why your participation is so important. The moment you let your guard down is the moment they're going to take away your freedom. I happen to believe that this moment we're experiencing right now is a seminal moment in human history. Much the same way that the Magna Carta and the Declaration of Independence shaped the people's relationship with their government, the thing that's happening today is shaping the people's relationship with the government going forward. And as you know, the government that takes power, that seizes your freedom is far less likely to ever give it back to you. There are a lot of young people in the crowd. The government we leave them is the government that we give them today. The government that's restrained by things like the Constitution, by our Bill of Rights, by our God-given right to live free, to have our businesses, to protect our families, to do those things that we've always been able to do. I said to somebody the other day, you may question whether a mom was legally responsible to go to a park and play with her kids in the playground. You may question whether that was a good idea or not, but until recently, it was always her choice to make. And it needs to be our choice again, whether we go out and see our friends and families, whether we frequent a certain business. By the way, I was just up in Kendrick, Idaho yesterday, and they were opening up a bar, and it was a big deal. The lieutenant governor was even there. Who could have imagined a month ago that opening a bar in a little tiny town in North Idaho was a big deal to bring up the lieutenant governor? But I guess it is. So I'm not going to speak for very long. I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here, for being part of this journey, for taking back our freedoms, for opening Idaho again. Thank you so much.
And Wayne and his organization, Idaho Freedom Foundation, have these cool stickers here that say, Disobey Idaho. You can come over here to the front. See, where's Dustin? Raise your hands, Dustin. Where are you at? Where they can get him from you over here? He's over here. All right, you guys make sure you get with Dustin or Wayne and join up with these organizations and help them to continue to fight for freedom. As much as we all love freedom, let's be honest that if it wasn't for the Second Amendment, there would be no freedoms anywhere in the United States of America. And we are very fortunate to have a local pro-Second Amendment organization fighting for our rights to keep and bear arms here in Idaho. It is the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. They are a grassroots gun rights group founded here in Idaho in 2012. The Idaho Second Amendment Alliance does not compromise on our gun rights. In fact, in 2016, it was ISAA that completed a 4-year battle to get constitutional carry passed here in Idaho. If you love and honor your right to keep and bear arms and to carry constitutionally based on the Second Amendment, you have the ISAA to thank for that. So do you need permission from the government to carry a firearm concealed in Idaho? No. That was the work of the ISAA. And they continue to fight for gun rights across the state at the city and county level as well. If you want to be a part of this great organization, their founder unfortunately could not be here today. Christy, are you here today? Christy Zito? If you can come on up. Thank you, Christy. Come on up. Christy is an esteemed legislator here. She's one of the good ones. And we are honored to have Christy Zito here today to receive this award on behalf of the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. Christy, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate this. And, you know, I'm really pumped to be here on behalf of the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. This is pretty cool. Greg has a new baby. He's got a lot going on, trying to keep the organization going and stuff. So he asked me if I would come and collect this award for them. You know, if you want to understand grassroots activism, the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance is the perfect example of what it takes to affect change in any state, anywhere. They focus, they're targeted, and because of you, because of people who join and support and show up, it makes a difference. Just like last year, it was a cold, wet, slick, rainy, nasty February morning, I believe it was February. And 2 days prior, Greg had sent out a call to action, have people show up at the Capitol to support the final piece of constitutional carry that we were trying to get through. Over 250 people showed up and lined the halls of your house, this house behind it, your building,
the representation of who we are and what we stand for right here behind us in brick and stone. And it was so cool, and I know there were that many because I walked the halls and I tried to shake hands with every person there. And it was just great. But this is what it takes. It takes us to not be complacent. It takes us to not just sit back and say, oh, we have more Republicans in office than we do Democrats. Everything's going to be okay. No, it's not. You've got to be vigilant. You've got to watch what goes on. We're in the situation we're in today because we figured, oh, we're a Republican state. It will never happen. Be active. Be aware. Support your local homegrown organizations like the Second Amendment Alliance. Make sure that the representatives that you vote for are going to represent your voice, what you want. Stand for the Constitution. Obey and uphold and defend our oath of office and everything that this country stands for that's good and great.
All right, we have one last award before we bring up our main guest speaker here. Now, Ammon Bundy needs no introduction for many people here. But for those who do not know him, Ammon has spent the last several years of his life fighting for the rights of the people. He first came to national attention when he, along with his family, stopped the federal government from stealing their land and their rights at their family ranch in southern Nevada. This came to be known as the Bundy Ranch Standoff of 2014. Many of you here were actually there, as thousands of patriots rushed to stand and support the Bundy family and to defend the people's rights. Ammon and his family were ultimately persecuted by the United States federal government, who tried to pin false allegations against them, all because they stood for the Constitution and the rights of the people. Ultimately, Ammon was incarcerated under false pretenses and lost his freedom without ever being charged for a single crime in over 2 years. Imagine your government throwing you in a cage and stripping you of freedom without ever charging you with a crime. That can happen to anybody here today if we do not fight back. What happened to Ammon can happen to everyone. It is wrong, it is immoral, and yet it happens because people have become afraid of their government. But Ammon was given strength, I believe, by God himself to persevere, and he was released and shown to be totally innocent, and the government was shown to be corrupt and fraudulent in their handling of the case. Since that time, Ammon has been active in taking up individual cases and situations in support of regular citizens like you and I, whose rights are being trampled. He has formed the constitutional advocacy group, The People's Rights, and he continues to fight every day on your behalf and mine, just to see to it that our constitutional and God-given rights are maintained and preserved. And we are honored to present my friend Ammon Bundy and the People's Rights with this last and final Defender of Freedom Award. God bless you, my brother.
Thank you, Diego. I guess I'm standing here simply because, in a lot of ways, because of you. And it does show that the power of people coming together is a very powerful thing. And I'll explain myself. So first, in 2014, when my father, after a long legal battle with the federal government, decided that he was not going to lose his ranch. That ranch had been passed on to him, and he was the 5th generation. That it was established in 1877, and that his desire to provide a commodity to the American people out of the desert, red meat, was his right to do. And so he stood, and he stood alone primarily, I guess, with a little bit of our support as his children and family, but he stood. And eventually, after quite some time, 213 armed men from five different federal agencies came with their MRAMs, their helicopters, their communication towers, and they surrounded my family's ranch, sniper rifles, threatened us that if we resisted in any way, that this would be another wing over Ruby Ridge. My mother began to just post what was happening, film, take pictures. My sister's the same, of the snipers on the hill, and they began to post it on mostly social media, but tell everybody they could. And eventually what happened after a tremendous, I guess, almost physical resistance, where people were thrown to the ground, tased, over 60 head of cattle were killed, water infrastructure that was over 100 years old was destroyed. Eventually, thousands of people came to the ranch, and many of you are here today. And they literally surrounded my family and insisted that these federal agents leave the area immediately. And I saw a miracle that day. I saw a miracle that I never thought was ever going to be possible. In fact, at the beginning of that week, it looked more like my family was going to die standing for liberty. But on April 12, 2014, I watched thousands of people insist that these federal agents leave. And because of that, they left within 1 hour. You've never seen such a scene, where hundreds of federal vehicles lined up and left immediately the area, where they abandoned all of their equipment, just left it, all because of the power of the people. And I learned something that day that I will never forget, that I have tried to speak and tell everybody that I could. And that is, when one person says no, and when that person is right, and when thousands come to surround, there is no way that liberty can be lost. Now that event perpetuated into another. Again, because of a poor law, a ranching family in Harney County, Oregon, was facing the very same thing that my family was facing. And although I didn't want to, I wanted to stay home with my family. I did not want to get caught up into somebody else's trouble. But I had learned that lesson. And where much is given, much is expected. And so I knew I had to act. And I did the best I could to bring as much national and international attention to the Hammond family as I could. In fact, under the criticism of many, I knew that what it was going to take was something pretty extreme. And so I went, and many of my friends and others went into the National Wildlife Refuge, in Malheur National Wildlife Refuge, and we began to bring as much attention to the atrocities to the Hammond family as we could. And that ultimately transpired into my incarceration. And then my fathers and brothers and many friends, in fact, some called it a blood prosecution, because so many of us as the same family was being prosecuted under the same accusations. And what I experienced there in prison was a terrible thing, but I also learned a tremendous amount of lessons. And also I learned how important it was to be able to decide what and how precious it is to be able to get up in the morning and decide what you're going to do with your day. To get up and decide where you're going to work, what you're going to do, how you're going to react, who you're going to worship, what you're going to eat. All of those things became very, very precious to me. And I realized how terrible it is to every day get up and not be able to decide what you're going to do with your time. Not be able to decide when you're going to eat. Not be able to decide, how you're going to help your family. And so it became very, very real to me how precious freedom is. And I can't emphasize enough to you the need to be able to decide and to be able to have that liberty and to be able to share that with your family. Now, I hesitate telling you this story, but about half of my incarceration I spent in solitary confinement. I spent months and months on end, which of course, as many of you know, is illegal, even in their own rules. But I spent hundreds of days consecutive in solitary confinement. And the reason why that, or at least their excuse was, because I would not submit to a strip search. Because I would not submit, they would throw me in solitary confinement for months on end. Until it got to the point where they were not even transporting me to my own trial. They started trial without me. And finally the judge said, we can't continue to have trial without him, or the circuit courts will just throw it out as a mistrial. So it wasn't until then they decided, I guess on their own, to crack the door of solitary confinement and allow me to go to my own trial. Now I tell you these things because it is a reality that there are people out there that have tremendous power that will take away your liberties. They will strip you of them. When you look, go on the internet and just look at the pictures of the Holocaust. And it always amazes me how you see pictures of men and women stripped completely naked, lined up, and facing a mass grave where they're shooting them in the back of the head and falling in the grave. Now, what is so amazing to me is that why would they line up and knowing what is at the end of the line? Why? Why would they line up? Now, the answer to that is not easy, but it is this. And I have been there and I know for a fact that this is true. That when you have faced so much tyranny in your life, there is a point where you would rather line up naked and get shot in the head. And my friends, why we're here today right now is to make sure that never happens. Now, you must backtrack a little bit and ask yourself, why did the Jewish people not, or how did they get in that position? How were they there? And I am not someone to be a judge of another people, but we must learn from history. And it was because they thought that putting their head down and trying to not be noticed was the better way. They thought that compliance would get them through it, that it was just a period of time that they might just pass through and end up better on the other end. And that is the decision that we have to make right now. Are we better to just comply? No. And why? Is it safer to comply? No. No, it is not. Because if you comply now, they will go further. And if you comply then, they will go further. And if you comply then, they will go further. Until we are lined up naked, facing a mass grave, being shot in the back of the head. And no one can say, oh Ammon, that will not happen. Because guess what? It already has. It's happened many, many times. And in fact, 250 million people in the 21st century have been killed by their own government, murdered, for many different reasons. And so now is the time, and I thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. And I have to say, I must say, to all the business owners out there, to all the people in Idaho, to all of you here, and to all of you that may be listening, and even to all of you that will not listen or even hear this, you must stand. You must open your businesses. You must. I've been a little long-winded, but I'm going to tell you one other example of this. The Constitution in the 1700s was drafted for our protection and security. In that Constitution, it established that all men were equal. That all men were equal. It established it by law, it established it by document, and it was set forth. But the problem is that even during its ratification, there was groups of people in the United States of America, newly founded, that were not being treated equal, that were actually being treated as slaves. There was, and so even in the Constitution, where they actually considered a part of them as an equal vote. So they weren't being treated as equal, but the document set forth that all men were equal. And then we move on into 100 years later, almost 100 years later, and we have a civil war. And part of that civil war was about this issue of slavery, about all men not being equal. And so they set forth what we call the 14th Amendment. And in that 14th Amendment, it establishes that all people should be treated equal. Okay? That's what it does. That's what it said. All people should be treated equal. And so did we resolve the question? Did all people at that time, were all people treated equal at that time? No. But yet the law said, it established that all men were equal. An amendment was established that they should be treated equal. But then we find ourselves 100 years down the road, in the 1960s and so forth, where we have civil liberties of certain people that are fighting to be treated equal. And it was not until they decided that they were going to sit at the front of the bus, that they were going to go into the public bathrooms, that they were going to go to the colleges. It was not until they said themselves, we will be treated equal, that we will not be treated as slaves, and it was not until they decided that they were going to sit in the front of the bus, until finally the laws and the cultures and the people began to follow that. And that should be a lesson to us. There is no remedy that we will find in the Capitol building for our freedoms. There is no remedy that we will find in the courts. The remedy is right here. And it is in your heart. And therefore the business owners of this state must open up. They must open up. The people in the houses, the churches, the pastors, they must open up. They must exercise their liberty. And that is the reality. And I thank you for your time, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ammon, for those wise words and for all you've done fighting for the people's rights. Evan, really quick, what is the number people can text in order to become a part of your email and subscriber list? Text RIGHTS to get your phones and text the word RIGHTS to 80123. Text RIGHTS to 80123 and you can become a part of a subscription list. Before we bring up our guest speaker, we want to remind everybody this is going to be your last chance to sign the Idaho is Open for Business official state resolution. Hold on a second. So, if you want to sign the official state resolution, you're going to have to come on up here to the front, in front of the Liberty Bell, and go ahead and sign it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you our guest speaker for the afternoon. Brad Stein has been a champion of the Constitution for over 20 years as he has used the platform of stand-up comedy to lift up God and country and to mock political correctness. The New Yorker magazine did an 8-page profile on Brad where they called him, quote, God's comic, a mock.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to end the stream. My battery's down on my phone, so I appreciate you all coming on. I'm gonna have more videos when I get home. I'm gonna be using the camcorder, so again, thank you all. Becky, thank you so much. QA, thanks for coming. Save the Humans. Everyone, thank you very much. Thanks for your support.
You may have seen him on numerous
Everybody,
news and TV shows,
be safe,
including the Glenn Beck Show,
be American, and always record the police. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. Much love.